This is the MeatEater podcast coming at you shirtless, severely bug-bitten, and in my case, underwearless.
We hunt the MeatEater podcast.
You can't predict anything.
The MeatEater podcast is brought to you by First Light. Whether you're checking trail cams, hanging deer stands, or scouting for elk, First Light has performance apparel to support every hunter in every environment. Check it out at firstlight.com. FIRSTLITE.com. Okay, everybody, we're recording in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm in a very tight spot as a podcast host because I'm plugging a different podcast. So theoretically, you could turn this one off and turn a newer, perhaps better one on.
I like that.
Already?
I like
Tight
that.
spot.
I like that.
Tight. Already.
The God's Country, not the, God's Country, not the.
Why are you looking at us?
the God's Country podcast.
God's Country podcast is live right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as you're listening to this, as you're listening to through the magic of show business, as you're listening to this, it's live right now. The first episode dropped this past Tuesday from your perspective as a listener today. January 16th is the actual date. From your listener perspective, listening right now, the second episode is coming out tomorrow. If, in fact, you listen to this show on the day it comes out.
What just happened?
What happened is bad producing. I take this up with Corinne Schneider,
Oh, don't say anything
who's
about
not with us
Corinne.
today. The God's Country podcast will launch on a weekly cadence. First episode out January 16th. So from there, you can just track in your calendar. What day of the week is that?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. So Tuesday releases.
Every Tuesday, right?
Every Tuesday. So you get the MeatEater podcast on Monday. You get God's Country podcast on Tuesday. I'm sitting here with a collection of folks instrumental in the creation and launching of God's Country, including Dan and Reed Isbell,
There you go.
who've been on the show before.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
One time.
Wyoming.
Are we talking video show or are we talking podcast
No,
show?
but you were on the podcast. We recorded one time in
That's
a
right.
tour bus.
Yeah.
We recorded on a tour bus in Wyoming.
Yep.
Yeah, you Mississippi Cold Shouldered us, remember?
Yep. Following
Yeah,
an
beginning.
antelope hunt, we recorded and you guys came on the show and we talked about the business of, among other things, we talked about the business of country music because you guys are both, I don't know what the hell you call it,
Lunch Pail
like
Songwriters.
contractual, like
Staff
contracted
songwriters, yeah.
professional songwriters.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about the Mississippi Cold Shoulder.
Well, when we got there, I think I told this then, but when Steve came up, he was real tough and like wasn't like, "Hey, how you doing? Good to see you." You know,
Well,
He
no.
actually spoke through
was
Yanni.
like-
He was like,
he just
Yanni,
went,
tell these guys that what we're about to do.
Reed, Steve, Luke, Steve, and then he just jumped in the truck and drove off. And we were
Because
like,
I was trying to get some stuff squared
I
away.
know you've already
as you re-
justified it on the other podcast.
I was trying to get some things squared away for
Square up,
our
dude.
deal.
Square up.
I was trying to get things squared up. Also joined today by my wife, Katie, not Ranella,
Nope. Katie
Here
Finch.
we go.
Katie Finch, who has
That's a
put
thing. We need to talk about that thing.
Oh,
today, I
no,
feel
I'd like to.
Yeah, great.
I'd
I'd love
like
to.
to.
Yeah, me too.
Who put a ton
Me
of
too.
work into God's Country podcast, and Jordan Isbell.
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 She
Isbell.
thought her name was Isbell until earlier today
About
when
10
she
minutes
learned
About
it's
10 minutes ago.
Isbell.
Been married a couple years.
And-
Sorry, all
And
good.
with all due respect, the MVP
MVP.
of this
Oh.
podcast.
A round of applause
No
for
question.
Jordan on the
No
couch
question.
today.
A lot of therapy has went into getting us to this point.
So we're gonna do our normal thing where we get into all kinds of stuff, but I'd like you guys just to do your own intros real quick too. Just talk a little bit about yourself. You work up 8th Mile from here.
Yeah, we're sitting.
You have an injured finger.
I do. Yeah, we're currently on Music Row. I write at 50 Egg Music, which is, I think it's just this way. I don't know if that's north or south or whatever. This way, about 1/8 of a mile. Then Dan's at Sony. He works at Sony down here. Probably 1/8 of a mile that way. So that's
So you guys work for competing outfits.
yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's
It's a friendly competition though. It's more like because they all kind of have to work together in order to get songs in different places. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's competing outfits, but at the same time, like we work together all the time. Like we write songs,
And it's not weird to write with other people's companies
Got it.
because you need that different angle to to get a song cut, as well as like a different perspective.
Yeah, you just helped my younger son work through a couple kinks of a
Yeah.
song he was working on.
Yeah.
Called Twinkle Little Star.
Beautiful rendition of
It's
Twinkle
not
Twinkle.
called Twinkle Little Star.
Twinkle
Matty
Twinkle.
Ice.
They do Twinkle Twinkle.
Which
Is that what it's
one was it?
officially called?
Twinkle, twinkle,
Twinkle,
little,
twinkle,
star.
little
yeah.
star.
He did great. He just needed a little push. Sometimes you need that.
Remind me again the outfit you work for.
It's 50 egg music, and they got that saying from the movie Cool Hand Luke.
When he eats all those eggs.
Yeah, they said he can't eat 50 eggs, and he eats them. But usually, this is Monday that we're sitting here recording this. Usually, this town, I mean, the roads would be jammed up with cars and trucks and all of these back parking lots writing songs, and the food house or the restaurants would be jammed up with people eating. But today, there's probably 4 inches of snow on the ground, and I would venture to say that we're one of the only ones doing anything productive on the road today.
Nashville's looking for a reason to not do nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, part of the reason today would be they asked you to not do nothing.
Agreed.
True. Oh yeah, that's right.
It's like during the pandemic when you felt bad going and doing stuff.
Yeah.
Those were good times.
I didn't feel bad about that.
We had a thing where they said outdoor recreation is A-okay, but don't go anywhere. So it put you in a bind. Like we would go 5-6 hours to outdoor recreate, and it felt like, so am I under the outdoor rec or am I under the not go anywhere?
Well, I think as long as you stay, I mean, my own justification was as long as you stay, relatively spaced out. Are we talking about COVID again?
No, we're going to
Okay.
quit.
4 years down the road.
When you're writing, are you sitting in a couch like this?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, in my place, if I'm writing, I've got a room up here.
Wait, you want a little skit? You want a little skit of how this goes?
Yeah.
Hey,
So
man,
you're
I
sitting
heard,
in a couch.
hey, man, I heard Jake Owen was cutting. I had a thing like this.
Oh, cool. I think he needs an up tempo.
He needs an up tempo.
Yeah.
So see, he
And
has
I think he
different
needs a
knowledge.
positive. I think he needs a positive up.
So he has different knowledge than I have, right? Even me saying, "Hey, good to see you this morning. Let's write."
Can you back it up a minute?
Sure.
So how did the conversation start?
What's up, dude?
What's up, dude? Good
You
to
got
see you,
anything? I heard Jake Owen's cutting.
man. Yeah, I heard he needs like a positive up tempo.
Who told you that?
My publisher did.
So someone's assembling his album and they said you need a positive up tempo.
yeah, because he's got it. I've heard he's got a sad song. I've heard he's got a dad song.
A couple heartbreaks.
A couple heartbreaks.
Wait, why is this funny to you? This is not
this is
sarcasm.
the construction of an album.
No, I like that there's the
Also,
sad and
Jake
dad
Owen, we're
go
just using
together.
him, like,
Okay.
Jake Owen could probably use a positive up tempo on this.
Easy.
Okay, he's got a sad song, he's got a dad song, he's got heartbreak songs.
Yeah. So
He needs a party song.
So I'm not going to go.
Yeah,
Because I already know he has it, right?
your chances of getting that thing
So
and
it-
beating something he already has is way less than
So I
trying to
might
create
go,
something.
okay, he needs a up tempo. We start there. Got any hooks?
Yeah, man. I was fishing the other day, and my dad said this.
What did he say? Make one up right now on the spot.
He said, fresh set of eyes will always find more beans.
He said, fresh.
fresh set of eyes to find more beans. It's a little old school. I don't know what it means, but I bet we could figure it out in a day.
So why don't we write a song that says, say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we go, oh, you didn't say an A rhyme there. What's a cool A rhyme? And we try to make that fit. Because that's what, based on the information that he has and that I have, we know that there's a space there. We're commercial writers.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything that comes out of us has to be, well, my great granddaddy passed down the line this saying. Sometimes it's just, hey, what does this guy need? We're commercial writers. We're hired in order to fill that need, right?
Do you have particular specialties within that?
Yes.
Like, how would you describe?
Well, I mean, it depends on different writers have different strengths, right? So I think
I mean, it's a good example of us sitting right here right now. Like, I would consider myself a melody guy.
Okay.
I can write a lyric, but I feel like melodies in my head are my first go-to. Like if Dan plays a song, I'm not going to say, what if the first verse said this? I'm going to go, what if it sounded like this?
Yeah.
And do the ups and downs of a melody to of a verse melody, and then which is completely different than a chorus melody. And that is my strength.
dynamically speaking,
Yeah.
right? Like you obviously want your verse melody to be somewhere in a range that you can lift from in order to
Create emotion in the chorus.
create an emotional lift in the chorus.
But Dan is, I would consider Dan we can both of us can do all the. I feel like are really good at doing all the things. But Dan's strongest specialty that you say is a lyric, painting a picture, getting the listener to see what we're saying. And Dan's, really
real
good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm good. I'm good all around.
Can you cover off real quick on your finger injury?
Yeah, so I smashed my left index, that's an index finger, with a set of rattling horns last week.
Because you didn't cut the brow tines off.
Because I didn't listen to my dad.
Daddy told him.
I cut some brow tines off the other day.
Did you? Yeah, we were going down for a week rut hunt last week, and I got a pair of horns and brow
You
tines.
found them or got them?
Found them. Found them on our property. We can get into this a little bit. I was bow hunting, sitting in my stand, and I heard the wildest like grunt / roar I've ever heard in my life behind me. And I'm sitting out there in the woods, far away from anybody. So my first thought was, what is that? It happened again. Thought it was a bull hung in a fence, and then
like a cow.
Yeah, like an actual cow. Like, and then I heard it grunting like a buck, like brr, brr. And this is we're getting close to the run when this was going down. So I was like, man, what is going on? I called Dan, videoed it, sent him a video. He's like, dude, you need to go check that out. I went back there and
Got down out of your tree.
got down on my tree to go investigate and found a 3-year-old buck that had the back end of it chewed off by coyotes
Why was he grunting?
because he was getting eaten alive. Like it was a.
Oh, he was bellering.
It was a grunt. It was like a roar, like a brr. Yeah, it was real. I'll show you the video.
Wild.
Anyway, found that deer.
Was the coyote still on him?
No, they ran off. Tagged him, took him in, cut the back straps out of him, and then cut his horns off to make some rattling horns. Just so, man. So we didn't throw him. Just let him waste out.
We
there.
ate that joker.
Yeah, we ate that
weeks ago.
joker. Yeah.
Huh.
So that was the pair of antlers I was using, and before going down to the hunt, my dad was like, "Hey, you better cut those brow tines off."
So you said to that buck, you're like, you won't be needing these anymore.
Dang right. I was
you're
like, you're gonna
going.
help me. Yeah,
That's what we said about his tenderloins too.
Yeah. Went down to Mississippi, ended up not cutting the brow tines off last morning. I go in for a sequence, and man, I smoke my finger. And it's pretty much if you took pliers and tried to rip the side of your index finger off, that's pretty much what happened. Stitched it up, quick stitch. We're chilling, bro.
Now, when you say a sequence, what do you mean? I mean, I don't know what you mean, but do you have a philosophy?
Not really.
Okay.
I think
The initial. You were talking about that.
yeah, sequence. I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and bang them all day. When it comes to, I just try to recreate a fight that I've heard in the wild before,
Yeah.
and that's usually a big bang at the front, some rattling in between. What I really am kind of intrigued at is, and I've heard people doing now, is taking 2 or 3 sets of rattling horns, tying them to a rope, dropping them on the ground from your stand. So when your sequence starts, you just start picking up that rope, and it's hitting the ground, making leaves
a great
move,
idea.
cracking limbs and stuff, and making like noise ground level with the deer, and as well as like you've got the leaf noise going on, stuff like that. So
That's
I
good,
might
'cause what I found is when they come, people say that turkey knows what tree you're sitting against.
absolutely,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. I've always heard
When
that.
they come, even when we were messing around recently with posturing decoys,
Yeah.
buck decoys, which
and
are
which
amazing.
way, and yeah,
But when that buck comes in, he's like, got it. I see the decoy, but I know that under that tree, there should be another deer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're like aware of both.
for sure.
Yeah. They don't go like, oh, there it is. They're like,
Right.
well, there he is. But what about what I know should be here?
I've always heard that too. The turkey thing is like, it doesn't matter how far a turkey is. If you hit a Yelp call or whatever, he could pinpoint within 10 yards of where you're sitting.
Mhm.
And if he's enticed to come check it out, he's gonna. You better be ready because he's coming. And same thing with a buck. I mean, you've rattled in deer before. You better rattle and then set your horns down and get ready. Because
Yeah.
if a buck hears that and it triggers that innate fight to survive, I got to get over there check it out. He's not taking his time. Like he's gonna rumble in, and that actually is what happened when this happened. I hit my finger, and I wear cutoff gloves when I'm bow hunting, so my hands were frozen anyway. So when I hit it, I knew it hurt, and I looked down at it, and it was just, there was blood everywhere. So I start to wrap it up, and I hear, and I look up, and luckily it wasn't a deer that I was, going to shoot,
yeah.
and a 3-year-old 8-point ran in 30 yards from my tree and just, went downwind of me, checking it out and looking, and didn't see anything, skirted us.
He sent us a picture, and he was like, got a blood trail, and there was blood all over the leaves, and then he held his finger up where it was.
Everybody was like, yes. I was like, yeah, it's from my. I wish that was from
because everybody was
CRB.
like, yeah, he got one, he shot one. He was like, no, just busted his own shit.
There's we hit on a thing this year. I'm not going to talk about rattling all hour here, but we hit on a thing this year is when you know that buck, he's going to know where that rattling noise is coming from, and he's going to come downwind of it.
Right.
And he's going to come downwind of it 20 or 30 yards.
No doubt.
We hit on a thing this year is the rattler, the rattling person sets up, and then you go 50 yards, then the archer goes 50 yards downwind of the rattler. That way, that buck, bam, comes running in,
right on top of the
staring in the direction it thinks it is. Never even would think to look further
Behind it,
downwind.
yeah.
But then the one thing is, when I was hunting with Seth, did you guys meet Seth? I don't know if you met Seth.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I had to.
Mustache-
I
mustache
almost
Seth?
had to
Yeah.
decide if I was gonna risk piercing him with the arrow.
Yeah.
I mean, because that buck stopped, and I'm like, man, hope he's. And Seth said he could see the buck, and he started trying to slink down into the tree.
Did it come?
Get behind-
Did the deer come between
Get
y'all?
behind the tree.
Oh no, big time! And I had to shoot earlier, and I wanted to because I was watching at what point it was going to go through and get Seth.
Really?
And he said he could see it happen, and he started trying to melt into the ground, thinking about that. Think about
You
that.
guys
arrow.
are sounding real desperate to kill a deer here, man. Jeez.
That's a big
Well-
turkey strategy is the collar. If a turkey's not coming in, if he's hanging up at 100
Sure.
yards, and the call, if you're a couple guys sitting there, you got a shooter and a collar. The collar's gonna a good strategy to drop back, to
Yep.
continue to drop back like that hen is walking away, which will entice that turkey to
Have
come
him
on in.
forward.
Yeah.
Jordan, so you're tangled up in the music business too.
Yeah. So I'm a marketing director for label group here in town, based out of LA, but I kind of head up their Nashville.
But you can't say
office.
who.
Yeah, Virgin Music Group.
Oh,
So
they're airplane people.
ish. We don't get a discount though
Oh,
on the
really?
hotels, the
Or at the
airplanes,
hotels,
or the
yeah.
cruises.
Really?
But
Messed
no.
up.
Yeah, we passed one of their hotels on the way here.
right here. off
No
Music
discount.
Road. No discount.
Let
No.
me take that
eighth of a mile.
Yeah. Yeah.
right there
Eighth of a mile.
It's right across from my place.
And so, yeah. And then kind of helping these guys. Our brains work very differently.
Helping is not
Wrangling is a
more
better
like
term.
leading. I mean, we just kind of show
Yeah.
up and do what she says.
Lassoing these
Yeah,
guys.
hurting.
Yeah, hurting's a good
Like
word.
this morning, for example, they were sitting at the kitchen table.
Oh, don't just say I was.
You guys don't all live in the same house.
No. Dan came. No, we.
Weird.
We do live 10 minutes apart from each other.
We did live in the
Eighth
same
of a,
boat.
we were eighth of a mile. Yeah.
But Dan came over this morning. Dan was holding one of my babies,
Thank you.
but they are sitting at the kitchen table talking about buying trucks, and the conversation just will not end.
Well,
And
it was 8:45, and Jordan was like, "We got to be out of here at 9." And I've got sweatpants on, a t-shirt.
She said 9:30.
9:15.
9:15.
Okay.
And I don't know. I also think being late is like a sign of rudeness, and so I am always just like, okay, let's go, whatever.
Yeah.
She walked in with a baby. This is I was sitting down like this with my feet
Reed
propped
did
up.
have sweatpants. I agree.
My
He
feet
was
propped
not
up on a
ready at all.
chair. Jordan had a baby in her arms. I was drinking coffee. We got to go.
You had your concrete boots on yet or not?
No, not yet, not yet. Concrete boots, dude. These things are mean.
These things are cold.
But Dan's
Oh.
sitting there.
Jordan
Jordan,
are deadly too.
My
If
feet-
you lived in the north, you'd know better.
Dude, my feet are freezing.
He learned a
now.
lesson. He learned a lesson
You'll
today.
eat it too on ice. Go on.
Jordan,
You'll have good working on concrete. That's good.
Jordan
contract
walked
with-
in and goes, "Hey," and this is why she works with me and Dan. And she walks in and goes, "Hey, I love you guys. I think you guys are great." She was like, "We gotta go. Like, quit talking about buying a truck and go put some pants in your concrete boots on."
And they were both like, okay, what do we got to do? And I was like, Snow needs to get off the truck. Dan, truck. Reed, shower.
Jeez.
do something.
And, but yeah, so I guess in wrangling these yoo-hoos, it's been fun.
Great. And then Katie.
I noticed your little about Jordan's comment about being late.
I did too. I did too.
Yeah.
I noticed that. I
Yeah,
almost-
yeah. That is one of the main things that Steve and I argue about.
Wait,
is-
who's
So
who's
are
the
you
late
always
one?
on time or are
No,
you
no,
always late?
no,
Who's
no.
the late one?
I'm a minute
No.
man, dude.
You're a what?
A minute man.
Minute man.
Familiar with the American Revolution?
Yeah.
Our kids were talking. They all try to be Minutemen. Our youngest is the only one who has
Matty
achieved
Ice?
that.
Oh, dude, he's fast.
That's my guy.
He is always ready for school on time. Anyway, you asked me. I am your wife, and I work at MeatEater, do a variety of things, and had the
Boss.
amazing fortune of getting to work with you guys
Oh, geez,
on this
I don't know.
podcast.
I don't know.
I'm
We'll
so
see.
excited
Yeah.
about
You guys
it.
know we
Fun.
met through publishing?
I did know that.
I did.
And then Dan, go ahead.
What?
Talk about your line of work.
Oh, it's the same as Reed's. We do the same thing. I'm a professional.
Yeah, we kind of already covered that. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
Great. So we're gonna do a couple things. Then we're gonna get into the God's Country podcast. Now, you guys are not familiar. You're familiar now with my saying that I invented: a fresh set of eyes will always find more beans. I'll clarify where it came from. It came from when you'd send people to pick pole beans.
As
and
one does.
They'll come and say, "Well, I got them all." I'm like, "No, you didn't." And then I'll go out and there'll be more. Anybody can.
This is a very specific saying to our children, though. You
Yes.
think it just applies
So
in
how
life?
do you apply? I'm really curious as to how you're applying this to your children, though.
No, it's like so.
Like literally
We
sending
have-
them outside to get pole beans.
Yeah,
What are we-
no,
what are
but it's
pole beans?
Well, yeah. What are you live?
What kind of you guys do? Bush beans or pole beans down here?
What are we talking about, dude?
Are you talking about
Gardening.
Like,
Gardening.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
sweet
I don't
peas.
do any. I don't do.
Okay. Either way,
Sweet peas.
I observed that like no matter how many people you send out, you'll send them out. Like pick a pole beans is hard because they camouflage inside the trestle.
Can I get a spelling
trellis.
on pole bean?
POLE. A
Pole.
pole.
I thought you said pole. Okay.
Well, you have two varieties. So you have bush beans, which
We have snap beans and green beans.
but they can be either or.
Okay.
Just for clarity's sake, bush beans are already generally they're determinate, meaning they're already all at once,
Mhm.
right? So for canning and stuff, they're
Mhm.
great. Then you can have indeterminate pole varieties, which just produce over a long
Come
period
in
of
and
time.
out. Gotcha.
You will send, as I've had it explained a bunch of times, you'll send someone out. You'll be like, "Hey, kids, go pick all the beans for dinner," and they'll come back and be like, "We got them all." And then I'll go out and they didn't get them all.
Mhm.
There's more.
So did you invent this saying, or was this a past?
No, I invented the saying.
A new old saying.
A new old saying, which means
That's not old.
that means like you can apply it to glassing, for instance.
Yeah.
You know, like no, I glassed that hillside out. There's no deer there, and then a new guy
fresh set
sits
of
down
eyes
and he's
finds
like, "Oh,
more
no,
deer."
there's one
It's
there."
like fresh set of eyes.
Fresh set of eyes.
Finds
So-
more pole beans.
We've got a lot of variations on this.
I have a conflict with that statement.
Working
Okay.
on song titles, and a guy said that he tried it on his wife the other night. She was looking in the pantry for vanilla extract.
Mm.
She couldn't find it. And he said, "Well, I'll come in and take a look." And she said, "What good would that do? I'm already looking." He'd been wanting to use the expression.
Tee it up.
His wife's name is Kate.
Mm.
He wanted to use the expression, so he said it. And then in reply, she called him the one word that no one has ever said on this podcast.
See you next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. Which made me think, what kind of wife's he got?
What happened right there? What just happened?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
See you next Tuesday is way more than one word.
Yeah, no, that's what he got called for applying to saying. Now, we've been covering situations with TSA agents stealing your pocket knives.
Mm.
And we had a guy, we haven't been disclosing where any of these TSA agents are located because we don't want them to get in trouble.
Oh yeah.
But there's a TSA agent who tells people to go put it in the bathroom drop ceiling.
Oh, no
And a guy
way.
goes to
How'd
later
do that?
get his knife, and he says that he finds multiple
Like 8 knives fall out. Yeah.
3 other knives in the drop ceiling. Another TSA agent wrote in. He says, "I work for the TSA, and there have been many times that someone was caught while attempting to stash a knife in the ceiling tiles of a bathroom. They are usually caught by another passenger who reports them to either TSA or the police at the airport. My suggestion," this is coming from a TSA agent, which is what I've personally done, "put your knife inside of a planter.
Mm.
It's less suspicious to see someone fiddling with a planter
Mm.
Than the ceiling.
than someone in the bathroom fiddling with the drop tiles."
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree.
A guy wrote in about hunting strategies. You guys might be interested in this. He's talking about trying to kill town deer.
Yuck. Okay.
He's observing when you're hunting town deer, and I've seen this. You're hunting town deer that are town turkeys, town deer. They're totally used to people. But the minute you go to hunt them, they know you're hunting them.
Agreed.
He's saying the reason that's happening is because you're acting different.
Mm.
You're dressing different, acting different. When he's hunting town deer, He acts like he's going to do a normal town thing.
Like go to the grocery.
You put on normal clothes and don't go toward the deer. You go toward a shed.
Yeah.
You don't go. You go like you're going toward a car.
Yeah, crank a four-wheeler out there.
And he talks on his phone.
And then he turns around and whaps him.
And it said it's so easy that he's gotten sick of it.
So, but he's been successful with this.
You sound angry about this.
I'm a little angry about this.
Well, he's like, hey, I'll act, if I'm trying to get a town deer, I'll act like I'm messing with my garbage.
So smart.
Because the minute you like get all your gear on and act weird and try sneaking up on it, it's like, what the hell? The deer's like, what the hell is going on with this guy? And he takes off.
This guy's hunting me.
Yeah, he's like, he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So he said, just like, have it be chill. Do normal stuff. And he, like I said, it works so good. Says this works so well, it ruined the whole experience.
Oh, beautiful.
He's got a friend.
This guy should go find some public land.
He's got a friend. He says that likes to hunt deer. He's a mechanic and he hunts deer by the garage. He hunts in his mechanic clothes by the garage. And he said that he thinks it's the perfect, all that grease is a good cover scent for his area.
It
I can just picture
absolutely demolishes like all the standards and bars that we were brought up on as far as like respecting everything and doing, you know what I mean? It's just like, hey man, just sit out by the garage in your work suit and shoot some shit.
So you don't think you should do it?
I'm not saying I don't think you should do it. I would absolutely do it. I just think it just doesn't feel as good to me.
Like hunting?
For some weird.
Well, you know what it is? It's. Well, go on.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
I used to. So when I used to get on a plane and there was people in first class, I wanted to cut all their throats.
Wow.
I knew they were
Seems
like,
a little,
That's
yeah.
With your knife that you hid in the
No,
planner.
I was like, you know,
did you bring the planner on board? with
rich
you?
bastards came by it dishonest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then
Well,
later you
Or they
get
got
where.
free upgrades.
Then later you
Who
get where you
knows?
start getting.
Or they
Another
worked real hard
situation.
for him.
Later, I know.
That
But now, you know, now I get up there and I'm like, man, a bunch of hardworking people. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of
You sit down by
a lot
them.
of sacrifices
Right, you
they
sit
made.
beside
A
them
lot of
and-
sacrifices they made to be in this situation up here.
You guys order champagne. You get to
So,
talk about.
hey, what was your-
I used
what was
to
your
look
what
journey?
stocks you're investing
I used
in?
to
Yeah, I
look
get it.
down on people that hunted town stuff.
Mhm.
But now I have a yard that has a lot of town stuff in it,
Mhm.
and I'm always plotting and devising how I would go about it.
Mm.
And the one neighbor I have right next to me is out in a different zone, a different municipality, administrative zone. And I'm envious, even though one of the commandments is don't covet thy neighbor's property.
Mhm.
I covet his property because he would be at will to hunt the town stuff.
Man.
So
I'm not saying I
used to
wouldn't
look
do
down
it.
on it. Now I'm an aspirational town hunter, meaning it's just your situation varies.
I mean, that's, yeah,
So you wouldn't. You live in the country.
correct.
Back porch.
Yeah.
A giant deer walks out
Mhm.
across your back field.
Depends on how the year's going
Okay.
and what season.
End of season. You haven't killed a buck yet.
night.
See ya.
Yeah.
You would shoot it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But-
We recently looked at a property that's basically touching our property. And my only motivation looking at that property is that you would have excellent town hunting.
When you say town hunting, like, are you guys like in?
I'm talking about hunting habituated animals.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was not my motivation for looking at that.
Because
The truth comes out.
I'll still do normal stuff, but I was like, this would give you a chance at town bears.
I'm saying there's a for me personally. Now what? I mean, honestly, ignorance is bliss too, right? Like if you didn't have the foundation, I guess, that we were brought up on, it probably wouldn't matter. To me, I'm old now, and there is more to it for me than the animal. And I'm not trying to put myself on some purist pedestal here. I'm just saying it just, I don't know that it would bring the same satisfaction as.
Because
No,
you didn't feel
it
like you
doesn't bring the
worked
same
hard
status.
enough for it.
So there's a guy here in town. No.
You go.
And you guys probably know this story, but he was dating this girl who lived within city limits.
Oh, you're doing it. You're doing it.
She is doing
Okay,
it. And she's
okay,
doing
do
it.
it.
Don't say
Yeah,
names.
Steve's into it. I'm not going to say names. The girl lives in East Nashville, very well known for having like town deer over there.
Mhm.
Oh no, she said a location.
Big deer in East Nashville.
We're getting
by the way.
close. We're getting close. We're getting close.
But
to the
we're
line
going to
here.
judge you if you shoot them because you shouldn't shoot town deer. Anyway, this guy was dating this girl. He and he had been watching this deer come up on her property. They ended up breaking up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know what. I think they were kind of like talking still. And as a talking, she sent him a picture of this giant buck in her backyard. Conveniently, they got back together and he shot it and then posted a picture on the internet in his camo like he shot it out
But didn't
in
they
the
break
country.
up right after that?
And then he broke up with her the next day.
My dog.
Sacrifice.
I'm with
Next
that.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
with that.
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
with that. That's my dog. right
But it's
there.
kind of funny you say that. Like he shot it off the back porch in his normal clothes, went inside, put his camo on, and then went outside and took the picture with the deer.
We don't
But,
know that happened.
Hey,
He might have
see,
put his camo on
one
and climbed
degree-
up in a tree.
1 degree removed.
But
Just saying.
I like to be a very well-rounded outdoorsman. Okay, I hunt, I trap, I
There was
fish.
that same.
I
that
hunt
he
in
did
some of the
earlier.
most. I hunt in some of the most remote places you can get to, and as the well-roundedness, I'd also like to be able to hunt in some of the least remote places you can get to, just to have that full breadth of experience.
yeah.
What a
And I don't think you're going
ridiculous
to. I don't
justification
think
that
you're going
is.
to damage the resource, which leads me to another thing that someone wrote in about, where a guy wrote in looking for some moral help. He has a 20-acre plot, 20-acre tract of land in Western Virginia. Used to be a big cattle operation, but it got all, as things do, got all busted up into little pieces, one of which he purchases, loaded with deer and turkeys. Here's the thing. He's in a situation where, in terms of the state regulations, he's totally fine to hunt. But there's this dumb property owners association prohibition on hunting, and he's looking for some moral guidance in what you should do. I never knew, I didn't really understand what those things were. I bought a house that's in one of those things, and I would never make that mistake again. I would not pay any attention to that.
No, me either. And I live in one as well. Like we live outside of the city, but it is in a community, and there is an HOA system in place, and they will send you letters if your grass is not cut at a certain height, or if you've got limbs in the backyard, which I just kept on moving them and
Make
never
them look fresh.
Yeah, and just made them move them in a different spot. But yeah, I'm the same way, man. I think, and I always say this too, like until that association is paying the taxes on my property,
Yep.
I'll do what I want to do on my property.
I have all phenomenal neighbors.
Same.
Yeah.
So-
But I don't. I would rather all my neighbors were hoarders. I mean, I don't want to trade my neighbors in. I'd like to have my wonderful neighbors that I have, but that they were hoarders and junk collectors.
Okay.
Meaning, when you need something, like I have in my place in Alaska, I had a hoarder junk collector neighbor. Anytime you needed anything,
You just walk over there.
you go over there and he'd have it.
Yeah, you don't have to keep up with it. Either.
So you need like a
And didn't even know he had
piece
it.
of metal yay long, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to have that hunk of metal yay long.
Yeah.
It's just, and they have all kinds of rabbits, like junk piles.
Yeah.
It just be, and then my place looks awesome.
Sure. Not happening in an HOA.
Looks way better than everybody else's place.
We've never gotten any like criticism from the HOA except not like grass, anything we've done to the house, just our camper trailer
Yeah.
staying outside for too long.
How'd that make you feel?
And
When you opened that letter and read that?
Didn't come in a letter form.
right, was it right after your hunt with Luke
No, it was during the big flood.
that we had just gotten a notice about our camper trailer, and our HOA was upset about it. And I pulled in from work one day, and there was probably 20 cars, our trailer, and a tour bus right in front of our
Generators
house.
running.
That's amazing.
sure they love that.
for like
days.
2 days.
Love it.
And I was like, well, if they were upset before,
Yeah.
Beautiful.
A Minnesota trapper. This was reported in I believe this was reported in Minnesota Public Radio. A Minnesota trapper had a bobcat set out. This story makes trappers look pretty good. A Minnesota trapper has a bobcat set out, and he's in the area where you can't trap pine martens, and he catches a pine marten in his bobcat set, and he thinks it's deceased.
Mm-hmm.
Calls a warden because that's what he needs. He needs a self-report.
Oh,
This guy's an exemplary figure because
No
a lot
doubt.
of guys would have been like, well, that didn't happen,
yep.
right? Just go about your business. But he calls a warden to say, I had an incidental catch. I think I killed this pine marten. The warden says on the call, the trapper then says, oh, its eyes just moved, and hangs up on the warden.
Mm.
He then manages to give CPR The warden backed him up on this. Gives him CPR, resuscitates the Martin. Puts it in his
there was a
vehicle to
video
warm
of
it up.
that.
What?
Say it again.
Tiny
What did you just
little-
say?
Moves the Martin into his vehicle to warm it up.
Okay.
No, he put his mouth over its nostrils and put air into it.
I'm with it.
The
I'm not saying I would've done it,
The
but
warden
I'm with
rushes
it.
to the scene. Beltrami County. The guy gets it all warmed up in his all-terrain vehicle. They don't say what kind. The warden rushes to the scene. They get it revived to the point that it becomes very angry, quote.
Confined,
let me die.
Confined within the ATV.
Tired of this life.
And they released it.
It's impressive that he pulled out the CPR and knew how to do it.
Not only that, the warden reviewed video taken by the trapper's wife that confirmed the sequence of events. The warden was so moved, he included it in his weekly report of notable activities. The trapper, I wish Corinne was here, supposedly does not want to be interviewed.
If anybody could make that happen, it would be Corinne though.
Yeah. I always think I'm redneck, and then I hear stories like that, and I'm like, you know what?
Dude,
I'm
what a
good.
story.
Wait,
What
didn't
a,
your parents have coons or something?
Oh yeah, my dad and stepmom raised raccoons in our house.
there's literally
Yeah.
pictures of her dad holding a raccoon, feeding him a Twinkie.
Yeah.
On the couch.
And they would like have to burp the raccoons, and it would like a baby. Oh
We
yeah,
kept
it's a
them-
whole thing. I'll
we
show you
kept
pictures.
them when I was little. My kids are dying for one this spring.
A raccoon?
Yeah.
They fell out of a tree, and they were Huey, Dewey, and Louie, I think. And they would come. They would open the door at night and come in and eat Cheetos.
That's pretty redneck.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I am.
What a
I
story.
ain't never given mouth to mouth to a.
What a story of the Pine Martin.
Let me ask about the
has,
Pine Martin though. Is that
Yo,
like
I was
a
going to move on to another news story. Go on.
sorry? Is that like because obviously we don't have Pine Martins down here? Is that like a kind of a revered animal there? Or is this just like would it be like
Yeah, I
reviving
was
a
wondering-
possum?
I was
here?
wondering
I'm gonna
Funny
be
you
honest
asked.
with
No, it's more heroic than reviving
Okay.
a possum. So
I caught a possum 2 nights
we
ago.
trap martins.
Yeah.
Where we're at, and it's an American martin. People call him a pine martin. Have you ever heard of sable, like a sable coat or
No,
a sable brush?
nope.
So martins are sold as sable,
Mm.
and it's a very high-end, luxuriant fur. And they used to make a brush with the hair of a martin, and now, like I was saying, if you were an oligarch's wife, pre-Ukraine invasion, if you were an oligarch's wife, what you wanted was a sable coat
Wow.
lined with bobcat, which really brings this guy's worlds together.
What in the
A
world?
sable
So is there
coat.
like a season for Pine Martin and it wasn't in season or
The
something?
season for Pine Martin runs, well, I don't know, in his area, he might be in a unit. So there are Minnesota units you can trap Martin. He might have been out of
Gotcha.
unit. But our season runs from December 1 to February 15th for Martin trapping. And they're regulated as a fur bearer. They're a mustelid. They're a weasel. Remember the weasel family? They're regulated as a fur bearer, and you'll have all kinds of quotas in place and stuff like that. But right now, the unit I'm in is open quota December 1 to February 15th.
So is that why?
And
he
they're
had-
worth like $40-$50.
So is that why he had to report it? It was because it was out of season.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Was that what you were going for when we had the snowmobile?
Yeah, we were Martin trapped when we had our snowmobile crash.
Okay, so I have the best photo ever. I'm going to find it for you.
Okay.
We had I took her trapping.
We had a miscommunication.
It was not a miscommunication.
No, here's the deal. I said
he was
you-
like, I have a great date day. Date day.
Got her with the
And I was
date
like,
day.
Oh,
Well,
that's
so I had her
sweet.
drive. She's like, I don't want to be driving on some steep ass trail.
Yeah.
And I was like, the one thing I'm worried about is driving off the side of a mountain and flipping over.
Valid.
So I say you should drive the snowmobile and learn how to drive on the flats.
Tough to drive a
So
snowmobile.
she
by the
drove
way.
it and then wasn't crazy about driving it. And then I jump off to check some sets.
They just happen to be where we were.
I leave it. No, I leave it. No, this is true.
He's like, I'm supposed to do a date day, but I have to go check my.
Dude, I'm putting
my
that-
I
I'm
jump
putting
off
that
to
one
check
in.
some sets and I go down the mountain. My snowmobile has foot warmers. You can jam your feet up into these feet warmers.
Can't hide money.
She
dude.
moves up to try to warm her feet
Can't
up.
hide it.
So when I come back up the mountain, she's perched up there in the
Driver's
cockpit,
seat. Yeah, yeah.
in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
I thought she was up there because she's itching to drive again,
Yeah,
but she
I
was
was
up there
real
trying to
clear
warm her
about-
feet.
Yeah.
But
I could
she
really
then
go for some
decides
feet
to just
warmers right
whatever.
now.
I jump on the back, and she's like, "Well, I guess I'm driving again." And I had already broken trail through this area, so then we are on the steep stuff she doesn't want to drive on, and her skis get a little out of the ruts. This is the day Ken Block died on a snowmobile. I'll always be able to find the day.
Same day.
Yeah. So she gets the ruts out of the skis out of the track. I reach forward to grab the bar and pull it back on, but inadvertently punch the
Whiskey
accelerator
throttle.
with
You
my
whiskey
mitt.
throttle, dude. That's what that's called, whiskey throttle.
We went
Throttle.
and flipped.
I whiskey throttled it,
Off the
and
side.
off the mountain we go. And I think, man, this is going to hurt when this thing starts rolling over us a bunch of times. So I kind of bear hug her and get like tucked in, expecting the
Date
machine
day,
to
romance.
come
Sounds
over
like he was just
on us.
predicting himself.
But the powder was so deep, it just burrowed in. And I was like, man, this is bad. But there's 2 trees in the vicinity. I had one tree to get it back. I got a rope puller on one tree and got it upright. Got a rope puller on another tree and got it back on the road. And we were lucky and underway.
Jordan,
That's the Pine Marten.
Jeez, I don't know if I'd put my mouth on that.
that's a pine marten?
Yeah, I'm not putting my mouth on
And
that.
the guy didn't mouth to mouth on that.
It's
Like,
terrifying.
That thing would eat your tongue out.
They're mean little suckers.
And Steve's face.
So recorded in the here's a distressing story,
good.
kind of. So a group by now in Canada, how it work? Like in Canada, big game in British Columbia, big game guides will have. I hunted in BC on one of these. A big game outfitter in Canada will have like what they call on Crown land. They'll own the concession. Okay, so big game outfitter. The public can hunt a certain area, but only one outfitter can guide an area, and that's what you own. There's an animal rights group in the Great Bear Rainforest of BC, which is buying up the concessions, doing everything normal, and it's a bid process. So they're bid. It's like willing seller, willing buyer. They're doing the bid process, doing all the necessary paperwork, but
No.
So that would essentially be like here where they do duck draws. They draw for blinds, right?
Yeah, on the
is that what they're
river.
called? Pits and stuff. And so what they do here is if essentially it would be them entering these duck things, getting the rights to it, and then just not hunting it essentially. Right?
But with a duck thing, you have
and locking people out.
There's a possibility that you can't. This is money. This is
no. This is money too. People buy pits from people who draw them all the time.
Okay.
Maybe illegally, but they definitely do it.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
This is similar to a move that's been happening in other areas where, so a couple of years ago when the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service moved to delist grizzly bears, and the grizzly bears in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem were going to go under state management. Some of the states, Montana sat it out. Wyoming said that we're going to issue 20 tags for hunting. Idaho was going to do a sort of they were going to do one sort of a symbolic one tag, and there was a big movement for, if this went through, it was going to be that they were trying to get people just to swamp the application system in hopes that anti-hunters would draw the tags and just sit on them. Right. So this is like a play that you'll see that is happening more and more and more and more.
Let me ask you about this.
Okay.
Do you feel how do you feel like if there's a versus the revenue of hunters versus the revenue of non-hunting, how does that sit?
I think I think where you see it play out in a really effective way is where you have a legitimate juxtaposition would be, as explained to me, would be if you look in areas in Africa where you have countries that have moved away from, right? You have countries that move to a park system and countries that run a hunting concession system. What it winds up doing with countries that have like a park system, you have the same way you'd have it in for instance, in Montana with Yellowstone National Park or Glacier National Park, then the rest of the area. You have a high volume of spending in a very concentrated area and in a bunch of neglected area. So as it's been explained to me, would be in the case of in Africa, you have these vast areas that are hunting concession, and it brings in small amounts of people that spend extraordinary amounts of money. and allows for habitat preservation to occur in remote areas on big landscapes.
Sure.
And then you have park systems where large amounts of people spend small amounts of money and they're very concentrated. Its effectiveness almost relies on the concentration, right? Meaning a dude that goes to Wyoming to hunt elk, and a dude that goes to Wyoming to hunt elk is going to go spend over 10 grand, all in. You go visit the park, you're not spending that amount of money, right? But that 2 million acres of Yellowstone National Park, for instance, that 2 million acres generates an enormous amount of money per acre.
Right.
But it wouldn't be applicable across these sort of like less showcasey scenarios.
Do you think that's moving our country to a gotta own to be able to hunt place?
Man, everywhere outside of the big public land areas. I mean, I'm witnessing that I'm turning 50 pretty soon here. So it's like, when I say in my own lifetime, keep in mind that's like a half century.
Yeah.
But I've witnessed that dramatically in my own lifetime, pay to play, right?
Yeah.
Like the days of, I used to maintain, when I was growing up in Michigan for trapping, I maintained 25 permissions. I had 25 permissions to hunt and trap.
Yeah. It's definitely happening here in the South. I mean, you have to, and I don't know if it's people just don't want people on their land at this point, but like, to me, it was the most important thing I could spend money on was land in order to lock up a place for my kids, Reed's kids, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care about trucks or any of that other stuff. It was like, you were just
talking about buying trucks this morning when you were supposed to
I was
get
talking
ready.
about Reed buying
Got
a
him.
truck.
No, we were talking about you buying a truck.
Yeah.
Well,
Just this morning.
Well, he's
For a
rich
guy that
now and
doesn't-
he already
for a guy-
has the land.
For a guy that doesn't
so.
care about trucks.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't say I don't care about trucks. I care about land more than I care about trucks. And I care about acquiring land more than I care about trucks. And that's what I think is part of the problem as well, is because once I get it, ain't nobody hunting that. They're not. My family's going to hunt that. So the more that happens, the more locking up that happens, the less opportunity there is for people that's not important to them.
Yeah.
Especially now that land is through the roof in price, man.
That's what I'm saying. That's
I
another.
mean,
So you've decided no one's hunting your place.
Nobody's on my place, bro. I mean, you can come sit with me, dog, but you're not shooting anything. You need a doe or something. But look, here's the other thing. Okay, let's take the 6 point, for example. The one I sent you the picture of. I've been watching that deer grow for 4 years. Okay, so I come in, I work and don't buy trucks for years in order to be able to purchase this ground, right?
Okay.
It comes for sale. Bam, we hop on it. I go, start hunting it. Dream spot. Backs up to my little farm. So now we've got this acreage. I see this tall 6 point, right? He's running around out there. I'm like, man, that thing's pretty. It'd be awesome if he could make it. He makes it another year, and eventually turns into this desired 6.5-year-old whitetail, right?
Yeah.
So the thought of me bringing anybody outside of Jesus Christ to shoot this deer is outlandish, dude. I've been passing this thing.
How sick would that be?
He's been dodging Z71s for the past 6 years on the roads. You know what I'm saying? Not to mention other whack job mechanics sitting out behind their house trying to shoot him.
Greasy and
All
everything.
greasy and everything. So like
acting like they're
to
working on
me-
a car.
to me, that deer is more.
Periodically running an
Like
impact
with
driver.
a flashlight and a 270, you know what I'm saying?
And I'm with the mindset of it. I'm just saying, it's a tough spot, right? It's a tough spot because people want their own ground and they want to do what they want to do on their own ground.
Well, let me hit you with this.
Okay.
This is true, but like, okay, my friend Doug Dern, he manages his family's farm.
Right.
That dude, he take the number one number he's interested in. He's interested in two numbers.
Okay.
One, he likes to brag about how many people hunted his place.
How old is this guy?
Well, older than me.
So he's had some time on there to maybe.
You know what? I'm older than he was. He recently pointed out to me, I'm now older than he was when he and I became friends. That doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot to you, but either way, I don't know what the hell he is. He's a decade older than I am.
Yeah.
maybe a little more than that. Anyway, he'll brag to me, 44 people hunted my farm this year in a very controlled, organized fashion. And if you go talk to Doug too, the number of dead deer is usually at or higher than the number of people that hunted this place.
How big is this place?
Several hundred acres.
Yeah.
He takes pride in getting people on his place.
Dude,
I got another buddy.
honorable.
I got another
But
buddy.
does he set limits on
my
what
buddy,
they can
my
shoot?
buddy Matt Cook. There's years that dude don't hunt his place. He's so busy having everybody else hunt his place. Wounded veterans, kids, nonprofits.
You're making me look
man.
real bad right
Dude,
now.
Wait.
he's the
You're
least
making me look
hunt-
When's the,
real
when's
bad
the
right
last
now.
time a wounded veteran's hunted your spot, Dan?
If
I took one one time.
If we had gotten the land behind us,
Oh, come on, Katie. Get him.
would you invite a bunch of people to come over and
My kids' buddies.
That
I got another guy. I know. Another guy I know, Mark. That dude, he's got more kids running around hunting his place. So you don't need to be mean. Like, but it also could be that you could mature into this in old age.
Maybe that's what Doug Duran did.
You know? Well, he did
We
because
should-
he used to be. He'll tell you.
Well, I'm not saying no one can ever hunt my
Oh,
place.
he's backing out.
Well, Jesus, you said.
He could. Now, at this moment.
Because he
at this
killed
moment
that
I'm in
deer.
right
and
now.
me, and me.
I mean, yeah, we've shot some turkeys off there. I'm just saying
Uh-huh.
it's the dilemma, right? The dilemma
No,
is
I hear you loud and clear.
locking up ground for you and yours to do what they want to do on it.
Can I hit you with a scenario?
God.
Then we're gonna move on. But I'll
Round
no, I
two.
hear
Yeah,
you,
let's
'cause
go.
I'm
No.
as guilty as
I
you
already
are. 'Cause-
look like an asshole.
Well, no, I'll hit you with a scenario.
Okay.
So I own a weird little spot. Okay. I own a weird little spot where
Now let me just say this: if you've got a record deal, you're welcome to hunt my spot. I'll swap cuts for a doe
Yeah,
any
if you're
day
looking
of
for
the
an
week.
up tempo positive, you can-
Tempo
yeah.
positive, we'll slide in there. Hey man, shoot that fork horn. He don't make it down to me.
I have a little spot that opens up some great opportunity. Like in and of itself, the spot's nothing, but it just gives you like pretty good access to an area. And a buddy of mine owns a little spot next to the little spot that
There's
I
a buddy
have.
of mine on the spot next to
No.
the spot.
No.
Okay.
So he gets a letter from some kids saying, couldn't help but notice you got a nice little spot. Could we use your little spot to get to the
Other spot.
other spot? And I said, man, I'd act like I never saw that letter. And I ended up being real glad I didn't get the letter
so
because that would have put me in a morally compromised position.
So what would the little Montana heart of yours have done?
I would have been in a bind. I would have been in a bind, but thankfully I was like, I thanked the universe that didn't come to me because I wouldn't want to have to deal with a situation like that.
What did he do? Did he say no? You and your kid?
I advised him to act like he never saw that letter.
Is that what he did?
Well, that's
Is that what he did?
Well, he was a little distraught about the he was a little dismayed about the address that they found.
What?
yeah.
They'd done a lot of work.
How they found
And he felt a little spied on.
Well,
Nah,
we
it was
had
honorable.
someone.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's just leave it at that. I don't need to
Maybe
be cryptic.
something for that. My stepdad has land and had someone approach him about getting to hunt it. And so my stepdad actually made a list of jobs he didn't want to do on the property to help clean it up and told the kid, if you trim the fences, paint the fences, do all this stuff, you can have rights to hunt it.
That's
So,
which the kid has not done. Yes.
and so Reed
Well,
took over the hunting
So
there.
then I told him,
And then we locked everybody out after.
I'd
that.
invite your dad to visit with the guy I was talking about, Doug Duran, who lets everybody hunt his place. Because not only that, he has started an organization called Sharing the Land, which is just for that purpose. Doug's philosophy is this: like, first off, his philosophy on land ownership is it's not ours, it's our turn.
Interesting.
Land
Okay.
management. It's not ours, it's our turn.
Jeez, this is really making me look.
Well, let me tell you, it's going to get worse.
Oh,
It's gonna get
maybe we
worse.
could switch subjects.
So Doug's like,
Look at the
everybody's
time.
like, everybody knows what the hunter gets out of the land, right? Everybody knows what the landowner gets out of the land, but Doug's like, what does the land get out of it, out of this exchange? So Doug has started this thing called Sharing the Land, which is he brings in farmers who have chore lists, right? And he brings in groups of hunters who say, like, I'm ready to work for access. But the work that they're doing goes toward habitat improvement. So if a farmer's like, He wants shelter belts and windrows. He wants to pull up old fencing. He wants to do any number of things. They try to gear it toward land improvement,
Yeah.
I
wildlife
love
improvement.
that, actually.
Yeah.
And then he pairs the hunters with the landowners. And it winds up being there's no exchange of cash, so you don't wind up in a weird regulatory space. But it's like, I've always wanted to, improve my riparian area, or try to reestablish willows along the creek where the cattle grazed it down, or try to do trout work on my stream.
Yeah.
But shit, I'm not gonna have time to do that. Well, you get these hosers that want to hunt, and they'll come out and pour the coals to it, and then they get to do their hunt.
I'm with that.
Sharing
that
the land.
sounds
great.
And I think
Sounds
it's
like
good,
great.
especially if the landowner doesn't hunt. Like they're not going to be like if you didn't hunt,
Yeah.
you would let people probably hunt your land.
Yeah, man. So you
But
got
I think in Dan's defense,
Oh,
You-
man. Katie,
you-
there's no defense.
This is
in
a
that.
couch
Yeah.
team
please defend
couch
me.
over here.
The last 30 minutes have been
There's no-
kind of a
you
teeth
can't-
kicking.
you brought up the fact that it's a dilemma. Like to act like it's not a dilemma is not truthful. Like you're being honest about it. And you admitted that you also were conflicted when,
No, I was,
tangentially.
I
I
think we're
was
on the
close
sa-
to. I was.
I think
was
we're on the
clo-
same team. He's just not as vocal about it. He's just not owning it.
No, I'm just putting you in a tough spot.
I know, but we're on the
Yeah.
same team.
Yeah.
I'm not
But-
gonna lie. If I owned land, I wouldn't let people hunt it. I'm just gonna say it. I
Not even
wouldn't.
your husband.
I mean, yeah,
Oh.
but
What about
like,
your brother-in-law?
You got land you own without me? No.
no,
not
but I
having
mean,
it.
like if I grew up on a chicken farm in Kentucky, and I wouldn't let people hunt that. I wouldn't let other people hunt it. I would let my family enjoy it. I would be selfish about it.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm
It's this-
exploiting myself.
It's this tough spot. And I'm not saying I'm not taking a wounded veteran. Like, back off. I'm just saying.
You're like, well, how wounded?
Which war? No, look. But, I mean, here's a prime. I have a prime example. They probably never listen to this anyway. There's a guy that is asked, like, "Hey, man,
Mm.
do you mind?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do mind." Nicely, I worked extremely hard to have a place for my family to do this,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we're going to be doing it on that day. So sorry.
Yeah.
Next year rolls around. Hey, man, son's in for Christmas. You mind if we? I was like, wish we could make that work, but my brother and I are actually going to be back there on the next year rolls around. Hey, man, my 9-year-old granddaughter who has never killed a turkey
She's a combat veteran.
is a combat veteran and has a Purple Heart. Is there any chance? And I was like, dude, I'm going to have my nephews. All true. All true. Me and Reed were hunting it one year. Me and my dad were hunting the year before, and I was taking my nephews the next year. All true things. I'm not just lying about it,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to establish the fact that, hey, bro, find a lease somewhere, buddy. They're out there. Because I feel like that's what we had to do. That's what we had to do to get ground. We hunted core ground and public land, and I mean, I shot a turkey on the other side of the lake over there. And I mean, we worked to have access to places to hunt.
Understood.
And there is ground 15 minutes down the road that we have killed deer on. Now, were they 6-year-olds? No, but we got to hunt there. I feel like you should be able. God, this sucks to say. I just keep feeling like a jerk every time it comes out.
No, you
of
don't
my
need to
mouth.
feel like a jerk. It's a real. It's the thing. Let me bring a positive, then we can move on from the conversation.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, we've been on this.
No. I just think that hats off to the people that have that ability to let people go hunt.
Oh my God, you're terrible.
Jesus H. dude.
He's terrible.
I'm totally joking.
I don't know.
I'm totally joking.
If we ever find ourselves
I
in a
don't have any
position
places like
where
this, so I
we
can't really
have
speak. Yeah.
land to hunt,
Well, that's not
I
me
will
with
be
the
very
HOA.
interested to see if you just open it up to all hunters everywhere.
Yeah.
No, I'll be like, hunt what? When?
Okay, do you do that with your spots that you hunt now? Are you like, after you film your little show, do you go, hey, man, by the way, here's the pinpoint. Go kill everything out there?
Yeah, but not to anybody.
I was about to say, you ain't giving me no coordinates.
Well, here's the deal. There's sort of a no.
Okay.
I have a collection of individuals. I have a circle of individuals
Mhm.
that there's like an unwritten deal
Okay.
where I throw them little tidbits, and they throw me little tidbits.
Little tit for tat.
It's
Tit for
highly reciprocal. And sometimes, you know, in The Godfather, when the guy comes and says to Marlon Brando, he's like, he wants something done about someone that violated his daughter, and the criminal system let him go.
Yeah.
Brando says to him, someday, I don't know when, but someday I'm going to have a favor for you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe never, but someday I might have a favor for you, and I'll take care of this.
That's
So-
how you feel about
So
people.
the people that I share with,
Someday, maybe.
I have an expectation that sometime down the road, I might say, hey, I'm in a little bit of a bind, trying to take a buddy of mine to get some ducks this weekend. You got any tips? And I would expect, and if they clam up on me, then I would expect, like, down the road, I'm not throwing tidbits.
I get that, dude.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
I'll do that with fish, but I mean, I don't know about deer, dude.
Fish,
You
anything.
You were explaining to me the other day, because I was a little bit surprised by it, that if you take someone somewhere and then they go without you, that's real bad.
Oh,
I just said it's good policy to
Yeah.
acknowledge it.
agreed.
Yeah.
It's a good policy to, it'd be like, if I take someone to a spot, it's good policy for them to say, hey, what,
Is it cool if we hit
yeah,
the spot?
like I want to go up there and hit that spot. I don't want to be up in each other's business. I know you showed me the spot. Like, what are you thinking?
Oh yeah.
To which I would
So
then be
everybody
very
knows
upfront.
this.
I'd be like, you know what? I was gonna go up there with my boy. He already tagged
Oh,
out.
put the
I'm
boy
not gonna
in.
hit it this year. If you're gonna hit it this year, yeah. And then the one deal is just let me know what you see. Right? And I'll say that to people. I'll be like, dude, go. You should check this spot, let me know what you run into.
Now, look, if we're talking public ground,
That's all what I'm talking
it's a
about.
different deal.
Yeah, it's
a
all what I'm
different deal.
talking about.
Because ultimately, you can't hunt it all, right? That's a different deal. And I'm with you. I would do exactly what you're saying. Hey, man, now I'm not telling everybody. And maybe if I bring you to the spot, you don't tell nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if you're going over there with your kid, like, let me know what you see.
I've had people say to me, I don't go to spots with people because I don't want to have to then later on be like worried about that stuff. I'd rather just find it all on my own and know that I found it on my own
I
and
feel
never
that
have
too.
to deal with any kind of
Feel that.
weirdness.
I don't know
'cause you
if that's
bypass all this.
worse. I don't know if that's worse than owning land and not letting people hunt it, because you're not really sharing the resource.
But I do share. I mean, there's not, I don't have
Thank you.
one public land. I do not have one public land secret that I don't share with my circle of friends that we network.
How big is that circle?
What's the initiation for that circle?
Yeah, no doubt.
It's big
Oh.
because it's spread all around.
Yeah, across the country.
Yeah, it's spread all
Okay.
around. I mean, there'd
See,
be
we
like,
don't
there's
deal with
probably,
that.
I could sit and list. I could probably list. There's probably 20 people that, depending on what's going on, that I would be like, oh yeah, buddy. Like,
I mean, we've put
check this
people on
out.
our Unali spots because we don't hunt that anymore.
Yeah, and because it's public land.
That's what I'm
it's-
saying. I mean, it's public ground that we hunted for a long time while we were busting to
Mhm.
have our own ground,
Yeah.
you know. So we pay for a lease in a spot, and then we purchased some ground. So
Yeah.
so there's not the need to continually stomp out public because it's a big place, but it's not giant compared to the pressure, you know.
It's all. I just think it's all part of. It's just all part of fun, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like way more sympathetic to kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? If someone's trying to get their kid into some action, I'm
Sure,
gonna be
sure.
way more.
We're more
generous.
sympathetic to record deals. If you get a record deal, there's a good chance you can find some of our secrets out.
No
All right,
doubt.
moving on.
Yep.
The last time you guys were on the show, we talked about country music,
Mm.
and the place that like outdoor living holds within country music. How would you guys describe that? Do you know what I mean, like, sort of the confluence is very strong. It's not not a subtle connection, and I would argue that it is like, I listen to country music made from I don't like anything like mid 70s. I listen to country music from the mid 70s to present. It has grown. The outdoor hunting, fishing references and stuff within country has absolutely grown in that time
Yeah, I agree.
to a crescendo, maybe a crescendo right now.
I think it's always going to be a part, and we also got to like draw a line between like commercial music and non-commercial music.
Okay. Draw that line for
It's
me.
just a different bit of a genre. And I feel like those genres are kind of blending right now, don't you?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I don't know if it's like more people, like, you know, it's kind of a snowball effect where, you know, it started getting written about and started getting sung about, and now people are kind of jumping onto that ship and writing about it, or if it's just more people are writing lifestyle music and writing what they know, and you have more of those lifestyles coming into town trying to do what, you know, trying to write commercial songs, and
That's
so
a good term,
more,
lifestyle music.
more of that content is getting put into the songs that are getting played on the radio because more people do it. You know, it's their lifestyle besides, you know, not doing it.
When you say lifestyle music, explain what you mean by that. Like, as opposed to
Faking it.
As opposed to, yeah, writing about something you don't know. Me writing about New York City.
Mhm.
You know, I wouldn't know what, if I was going to write a song about New York City, I would have to look up what's in Times Square because I don't know. I hadn't spent time there. I don't know what buildings are where or what little restaurants or, you know, little niche places that are local to people that would want to hear that tune. But I can write a song right now about the woods or fishing
Or a four-wheeler.
or being on a boat or a four-wheeler or, you know, and that's what we've always taught. And we talk about that in the Josh Thompson episode. It's about, to me, country music and writing songs is writing what you know and writing about your life. And if, you know, my life is all about my family, God, and hunting. And so most of the songs that I'm going to pin out or ideas that I have, if they meet that space, you know, I'm going to put in there something about sitting in a you know, an oak flat in November and watching the sun rise while I'm sitting there waiting on a buck to walk by, you know, because that's what I know, that's what I love, and that's the truth to me.
you made a move like you're going to play something.
Well, I was just thinking a lot of our songs do that, but there's also songs like it's just like a total smooth sex tune. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, let me hear it. I don't hear the sex part.
You got to put the
sorry, can I
Oh,
borrow this
sorry.
for
No, no, of course.
twos? Ready?
we singing this?
You are.
Okay. Might have to help me with the lyrics. Ready?
Remember the verse.
We've been burning both ends, keeping the lights on. This is not a hunting song, by the way, but we do know the song. Well, I've been thinking we needed a little time alone. 3-week number one, if anybody's wondering.
5.
What you say we cancel a plan? Tonight I'm only gonna be your man. Let's get some candles burning, some records turning, all the lights down low. Take it nice and slow. The way your body's moving, keep doing what you're doing to me all night long. Writing our love song, girl, I want it, gotta have it. Let the passion take us to a higher place, making that kind of love we made.
Not really about the outdoors.
But we have outdoor songs.
So I'm saying,
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but yeah.
you got to write what you know is what he's saying. So I'm trying to explain that as a commercial country writer, you have to be versatile in the areas that you know. So, no, not all of them are tailgate. Hey, man, come on out, check this lifestyle out. But we also have a lot of songs about that too.
But it's kind of like we were talking about earlier. It's constructing an album, and you know, if I was making an album, I would want love songs on there. I would want dad songs on there. I would like hunting songs on there. You know, I wouldn't necessarily want a song about New York City or something like that because that's not it's not my lifestyle.
We recently had Evan Felker on,
Turnpike.
yeah,
Yeah.
on the podcast.
He's great, dude.
Well, he is. Yeah.
Love that stuff.
I was asking him about. I asked him a couple questions about the role of the outdoors in his music, and I said, "Do you ever think to yourself, man, I could put more hunting references in, or I should pull them out. And he says he didn't really like the question, but he eventually said that I guess if I thought one way or the other, I think that I could get away with putting more in. But he said, for me, I don't make it. It's not about that. It's just a background. Like I need people, they're doing something. So I'm not talking about the act of doing it. I'm talking about something that's going on in people's lives, and that's just what they're doing. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's the backdrop of the subject.
Which is a thing, because I mean, hearing you say that, you can absolutely write. I mean, Better Together was a great example of that. Is you're writing a love song that's a slow tempo, you to your the one you love, but it's got eight points in autumn, and it's got 40 HP Johnson,
and it's got outboard. It's got an outboard motor reference.
So you're seeing that, and that's something to commercial songwriting in the country music realm too. Is like painting these pictures of the life that we all lead, but at the same time tying them into a subject that's love, or something else, whatever it is. That's part of the trick too.
My favorite thing about the thing we just played and how it's relative is that when that song was going to radio, 3 of the wives of the 4 people that wrote it were pregnant. So it's like
they had been doing some of that.
And here's a little thing too. We were actually
Jumps being one of those.
We were in Mississippi on a turkey hunt, and it rained us out that morning when we wrote the song. When we wrote half the song, we started.
We literally went down there to turkey hunt.
We were in camo.
You guys won't hunt in the rain, huh?
We will. Don't try to step.
Yeah,
on
but we'd rather make $1 million writing a song.
Beef. I don't want to hear no turkey hunting down and from MeatEater. I don't want to hear nothing about what we need to do turkey hunting.
Yeah, we got turkey down on
We don't walk up and go, man, these elk sound pretty shitty over here. You just don't want to even step on the court with turkey. I've seen a couple of those episodes.
I stand corrected.
All right.
I stand corrected. You don't like to get wet, huh?
Dude, I got plenty. I've killed plenty of. I got pictures to show you of dripping wet turkeys. I would rather write a hit song.
The point being,
than hunt in the rain. I'll tell you that much.
Like Reed says, he always says this: you write what you know, and if you can blend some of, I feel like if I can get 5% of either my upbringing or what I'm into now or whatever into a song, I feel like okay. I can, not all of them are 100%ers.
Sure.
This artist needs to say exactly what I'm feeling or what I've been through in my life. It doesn't necessarily work. That sometimes you're just making words rhyme. Now, a lot of the time, it's the general idea is from a genuine place, right? But if you had to be a commercial writer and write 200 songs a year, and every one of them had to be about what you've been through in your life.
Is that a volume that's achievable to touch that many songs?
Yeah, I mean, for us,
you'll touch that many songs.
Well, I mean, there've been years, not now, but in the grind, in the early, probably first 5. I mean,
you write at least 3 songs a week. There's 52 weeks.
Somebody do that math.
In a year. I mean, that's 160-ish. I mean, I'm from
yeah,
Kentucky,
but that's
so the
also
math.
co-writes. Yeah.
I mean, so.
But I mean, like me, I have a 9-year catalog at Sony where I've been, the first 5 of those, I was writing 5 days a week, sometimes 2 times a day. And what my point is, the well will run dry on your experiences, which is why you need co-writes. You need other influences. You need, hey, he needs a song in this realm. Otherwise, you're just writing. It just absolutely melts your brain.
Got it. There's a question I have that's more interesting to me than it is to any of the songwriters I've asked this question to, would be, let's say you produce a song here, like sitting in Nashville.
Produce is that'd be a weird term though. You're saying create a song?
Right.
Because you can be a producer.
Sorry, I didn't mean that. I don't.
Just clearing it up.
So here you are, like you guys grew up in the broader area. You grew up in the region, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're working out of Nashville, Tennessee, and you're working with some outdoor know-how that would be known here, but might not even be broadly known to other outdoorsmen outside of the country. Meaning, I know outdoorsmen that if I said, like I know guys in Alaska, for instance, older guys in Alaska, if I said, I got a nice 8 on camera, they're not going to know what I meant.
Really?
Because they don't do trail cameras. They don't traffic in the lingo a nice 8. Now, if you said,
Gotcha.
I got a nice 8-point buck on my trail camera, they'd piece that together.
Sure.
But they might not immediately recognize that.
The lingo. Yeah.
So, and that's even someone familiar. So a thing that I'm always curious about with songwriting is here in Nashville, you're exporting music around the world.
Mm-hmm.
People around the world are listening to the music you produce.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have these references that are no way going to be understood.
Right.
Because for them to be legitimate, they're like insider references.
Sure.
I asked about this before when we were talking about like a Johnson outboard. Like if you went to most people on the street and you asked them, hey, name some outboard companies who makes outboards, they're gonna be like, well, Honda makes outboards, Yamaha makes outboards, Evinrude makes outboards. No one around now is gonna say Johnson's, right? But there's a great reason to use that because it brings reminiscent. It's nostalgic, right? It's like a certain type of person is going to have and know that.
Okay,
like
let me ask you this: when do you feel like Johnson was the one? Like what listener? Like what year section? I'm talking about specific demographic here. Like,
I was born in 1974, and we spent the 80s trying to keep a Johnson 10 running.
See, I was born in 1983, and when we had Johnsons, so between 70, what did you say? How old are you? Like 100?
50.
Right.
Yeah.
So between that age and like my age, we know that was the one in there. So when you think about demographics, I would say probably the people who are listening to that, that's why it clicked in them is because most of them were seeing that.
And you kind of get two birds.
I mean, today it'd be a Tohatsu. You know what I mean?
I know,
Like,
but it doesn't sound good though.
exactly.
which is that's part of the thing too. It
doesn't sing. That's
but
what
you're
we say.
getting
That doesn't sing
you're
well.
getting two things with one word. There is you're painting that picture of a motor on the back of the boat, which most people would get, and that's they would listen to that lyric and then go on to the next one. Or you get the guy who was trying to keep a Johnson going for 10 years, and that immediately clicks, and he's stuck there, and that takes him back to, man, probably some of the best days of his life. So
Kind of like boxing too. It's like you hit with a left, and then there's a line right after that. That just
yeah, and some
So the
guys,
more
some guys
punches
might
you land-
dodge. Some guys might dodge that right hook that's coming, or some guys might get knocked out by it. And
hook. I like
so,
what you did there.
So you kind of, thanks, man.
I asked Evan Felker about his use of a Belgium Browning.
A5, yeah. I got one.
So that's like, I brought that up, and then all kinds of people wrote in like, can't believe Vernell doesn't know about the Belgium-made Brownings. Like my old man thought he had a Belgium-made Browning. So, and he got it. So when my maternal grandfather died, my dad took possession of his Browning A5, which my dad mistakenly thought was a Belgium-made Browning, which meant something to him and didn't mean anything to anyone around him. But then here it's a reference like he's holding it. I'm just saying you're going to wind up, you have a reference that people aren't going to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people, you have a reference that a lot of people are just going to be like over their head.
Yeah, but some of us, there's also some interest in having people just try to figure it out too, right? Like, go dive in there and see. Like, okay, let me ask you this: the fact that it's not Belgium made, does that take anything away from you owning the gun?
Oh yeah, because I had been raised to think that it was great, and then we looked up the serial number, and we're like,
does it say made in Belgium?
No, there's all these ways you could have known if you knew, but no, we just looked up. There's a serial number. Look up, and you can tell where it was manufactured. It wasn't manufactured. It was after it went to.
Mine says made in Belgium.
Oh, well,
does that mean it
didn't?
Okay.
I don't know why he thought it did. I don't know where it's at right now. Probably at my mom's.
Oh, you don't even care anymore.
No, I do care. I had it. I tried to shoot it for a while.
Oh,
You're saying you'd care more if it was a Belgium?
that's what I'm saying. Would it mean more to you if it was Belgium made?
Yeah, but I wouldn't be able to tell you why. They're better, but either way, it didn't work good. Maybe if it was Belgium, it would work good. It didn't cycle. It wouldn't cycle anything. Wouldn't cycle anything.
I think too, though, going back to the reference thing, is the front of our minds in writing country music, and it might be different for LA pop writers or New York writers writing pop songs. Like, we write country music, commercial country music, with the country listener at the front of our mind.
Got it.
So like, we're gonna use the lingo that the South is gonna pick up on.
Can I just interject right here? Like, without even knowing, you just clicked my brain into songwriting mode. And I didn't even hear the last 30 seconds of what you were talking about because you said, I wouldn't be able to tell you why. And that's a great hook. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell you why. And immediately my brain went, oh man, why I love you, why I don't love you, why I fell out of love with you, why I fell in love with you. I'm not able to tell you why. Why did we break up? I don't know. I'm not able to tell you why. Like, it just doesn't turn off. As soon as something hits that you're like, man. And then I started thinking, well, who would be somebody that could sing that? And you start running artists through your brain. Then you go, well, does this guy need that, or is it already cleared up? Is he already cut and he's not cutting for another 2 years? So knock that guy out. Who's the next guy on the list? And all that happened within the last 30 seconds because you said
Makes it hard to follow conversations.
Well, I started to bring to take my phone out and put it down on my phone, and I was like, nah, Katie's sitting right beside me. She'll that would be rude.
Can I hit you with another one?
So I'll just sacrifice that idea. If anybody writes,
I was about to say.
We'll write.
Nobody write that.
We'll write
idea.
that. We'll write that before this podcast.
In that
we
same
can write
vein, my
it
buddy,
out.
here's
Yeah,
one that's
Steve's a
good for you.
co-write.
This is my favorite quote.
Wait. I don't know if I want you to say it on here. Because then everybody can know.
'Cause
We'll
it's
just
great.
write it before this comes out. Go ahead.
It's a great quote.
All right. Yeah.
I was explaining to him.
Oh, God. Do you think it's going to be good or is it
No,
going to be
listen,
bad?
it's good.
No, I see. You're saying that, but we know whether it
That's
is or
what they
not.
all say.
If
I
it
know.
wasn't good, I wouldn't be telling you. I wouldn't have it written
That's what
down
they
in
all
my
say,
favorite
too.
quotes.
Yeah, they all say that.
I got favorite quotes. I got some I wouldn't say on the air.
My
I got a
mailman
lot
says
of
the
favorite
same
quotes.
shit, dude. Go ahead. Yeah,
He
bring it.
said I was explaining something to him about manufacturing, and manufacturing is his business. He manufactures in a different sector than the sector of manufacturing I was talking about, and I was telling him like, well, everybody knows you can't blank. To which he says, I don't know why that's not true, but that's not true.
Pretty good. It's better than my dad's. My dad's was working for the weekend, so I'll take that one.
Bro, dads are better when he doesn't even know he's saying them.
I know. My mom's
Like
can
mom
think
will
of
come
them,
up with a great
but
idea and
dads
tell
are
you, and you can write that idea.
Yeah,
Dad's
dads are-
like, hey man, listen,
working
I
for the
woke up.
weekend.
I woke up last night with an incredible thought, working for the weekend. And I'm like, okay, well. And then he starts telling me what he did yesterday, and I'll get 4 song ideas out of that.
Yeah.
What songwriters do you guys like?
I'm a big Tony Lane fan.
Oh
I mean,
man, yeah.
There's a lot we don't like too.
I mean, we've had.
Don't tell me those.
We had. I mean,
I didn't put it negative.
no.
yeah, we had him on the podcast, and he'll have his episode out. But you know, Casey Beathard is the GOAT, man.
Now, is it like you like them when the ones you like them lyrically, you like them because of the melody?
That's interesting. I mean, I say this all the time. We write with a lot of people. We know we've met a lot of people, and songwriters to me are the most entertaining, coolest individuals on earth because there's usually a sense of humbleness because the town kicked them in the teeth for 10 to 15 years.
Oh, when they were trying to be a performer,
For sure.
Yeah.
they figured the thing out.
Or just a songwriter. I mean, yeah, just
Yeah, they
the
figured
grind
the
of
thing
songwriting.
out, and then their stuff started hitting, and they stayed true to what they are, regardless of what that is.
Yeah, and I think with most of them, man, now that we've moved to town and we've met a lot of the guys that were writing the songs that we loved growing up. We've met some of those cats, and it's everything. It's who they are as a person. It's their story that they tell you, and you can see where these songs came from, and it's the lyrics and the stories in the songs, and it's the way they sing them and the melody and all of it. It's all those things that make you love somebody's work.
Now I'll tell you, man, there are major guys like Waylon,
Christopherson,
yeah. Johnny Cash. I mean, all these people wrote songs, but there are also people behind the curtains that are so important to the genre that a lot of people never see. And those people, and a lot of those writers don't want you to see them. They want to stay. And I segue. I also think that's what's great about what the podcast that we're doing is we're able to bring a light to those people without just completely exploiting them. It's more of a respect issue and saying that, hey, these guys earn their stripes as well. And there are guys like Casey Beathard, Josh Thompson, Bryce Long, the people that we've had on, the people that we plan to have on who just live behind that curtain and
grew up just like everybody else.
Yep.
Like same stories as we all got about y'all.
and are absolute masterful wordsmiths.
Yeah.
What is the general trajectory? You just use the term "move to town."
10-year town, baby.
I gather that means that you moved to Nashville. What's the general trajectory?
10-year town.
10-year town is what everybody calls it.
I mean, it's and for me it was.
But tell me from you guys.
So I moved here in 2008.
Because of what? I mean, I know why, but how did you go?
okay. I had a band. I had a funk country band. We played Stevie Wonder. We played
It's Jamie Davis and Soul Gravy. Dan was the Soul Gravy.
Got it.
What? What did I just
Everybody
say?
likes to say I was the gravy, and I don't know why they say that. Do you?
No.
Me either. So we had this band, and
Like you're the good thing that they put on top of something?
I think it's
Okay.
a weight reference.
geez,
Yikes. Jordan just.
why'd you look at my stomach when she said wait?
I was looking at your guitar.
Oh, okay.
Bad placement.
So anyway, we were getting these. I didn't know it, but we were actually getting the run, the Nashville run, like possibly signing us as a band, and they were putting us with different writers.
I mean, you didn't know it.
Well, we were
Talk to me like I'm 5 years old.
well, we were essentially babies in the industry
Okay.
and didn't know that this could even be a career, right? So when our band starts getting the front man Jamie, who's one of my best buddies, and then me, we're coming up here and doing the co-writes with they were using their leverage to get us into rooms that we didn't necessarily even deserve, on the possibility that we might be a signed band.
But
later.
they is who?
The business, whether that be
a manager.
BMI,
And you guys had your band was where?
based out of North Mississippi.
So you start getting some traction.
Start getting
and then
some
pretty soon
traction.
you get some invites to work on stuff.
There you go. Yep. And as that starts happening, we kind of realize like we don't want to necessarily be that upfront band, right? Like it was fun, but I never wanted to do that. I always wanted to be a songwriter, a back like harmony singer, accompanied guitarist. I never had ambitions for the light. Reed grew up under us in his band. I mean, having little bands and stuff. My favorite story about him is when we started, I was traveling with his band, just kind of helping, and then when a big run of shows came in on the week on the starting date of bow season, me and Dad, I told him I couldn't go. I said, me and Dad are going to deer camp. He was like, what? I was like, yeah, we're going to deer camp. He's like, oh, if y'all think y'all are leaving me on the road while y'all go to deer camp, it's out. Hung up the phone, canceled all the gigs, and never played another one.
And here's I'm gonna be real vulnerable with this, but it was never my dream to do this. It was never my dream to write songs. I had a dream to perform, like, because I always did. I grew up in church. My dad was a Baptist pastor, still is, and I sang. I was the front man. I sang every Sunday, 2 and 3 times, standing ovations. Let's sing it again. Like I grew up doing that, and so I felt like I had my dream was to perform to big audiences and crowds, and then moving here, and I didn't move here on the base to do that. I moved here because Dan was like, "Hey man, you need to come do this." Like, and I was in school at UT Knoxville, chased a girl up there, terrible decision, got some great song ideas out of it, but failed physics twice and was kind of sitting. I was actually at their show.
I was literally
at
like,
a Jamie. It was on Christmas break. It was on Christmas
Playing
break in
covers.
Tupelo, Mississippi, and my girlfriend at the time. Sorry, Jordan, for talking about a girlfriend.
It's okay.
But my girlfriend at the time called me. She goes, "Hey, you failed physics again." She was like, "What are you going to do?" And I was
who
like,
called you to tell you?
"Ex-girlfriend."
How did she know?
She took, dude, because she signed me up for all my classes. I didn't even know what credits were in college, bro. Like, she just did everything. And that's how, like, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And she was like, "You failed physics for a second time, you're not getting into med school." And I was having a good time in Tupelo, Mississippi, sitting on a park bench outside this club where they were playing.
this song.
And I was kind of looking up. She goes, "What are you going to do?" And me and Dan had been like, "Dude, you got to move to Nashville, man. We write from 3 to 11. We 3 or 4 days a week. We get to travel." And I was sitting on a park bench, and I told her, I was like, I think I'm moving to Nashville." She was like, "What? What are you going to do in Nashville?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm going to sing and write songs." We broke up that night on the phone on that park bench in Tupelo. I walked inside. This was going down. I went
Now he's
through.
inside the club.
I'm like slithering my way through this crowd of people who are singing every Jamie Davis song, this cover songs. And I get to the front, and I went, "Dan!"
And I'm like,
Damn.
people call me Space Cat. What?
I went. "I'm moving to Nashville."
People call me this gangster of love. I'm like, what? Dude,
I felt physics again, and I just broke up with my girlfriend.
I'm like, oh, sick. All right, let me finish this. I kind of got a thing going. I'll get back to you in a minute.
And that was it.
And that was it.
I moved that semester. At the end of that semester, I moved to town. We started writing some songs for my project, and we got a band going. We went out and played some shows, and I quickly found out that that's not what I wanted to do. I had fallen in love with writing music in the room and hearing other people sing those songs, but being gone, I'm a homebody, and there ain't no way that my dad and my brother are going to be grilling ribeyes at deer camp in the fall.
On our
and,
fifth
and
wheel.
I'm out here grinding my ass off on a tour bus, 22 hours a day, just enjoying the hour and a half I'm on stage. And I found out that wasn't for me. And
What if you enjoy the 22 hours, but you hate the hour and a half you're on stage?
You're in a predicament too, because that
Well, they always say
actually might
don't
be
pay
better
you to
for an
pl-
artist.
They don't pay you to play. They
I feel
pay
like
you.
Josh Thompson's episode is a great answer to that question because he talks about
You
that.
should go listen to it.
Yeah. Josh was a great example of that. The guy moved to town, got a record deal, did the thing, hated it, man, but loved writing songs and loved being at home because you still get to scratch that creative itch that you have within those walls of a writing room, but don't have to be away from your family and, do the grind that is being a recording artist in Nashville.
Speaking of which, I've had a creative itch ever since we ate that deer that the coyotes had, like right behind me.
Yeah, well, might need to talk to the
It's a
doctor about
10-year
that.
town, dude. All I'm saying is, as you come to the town as a writer, essentially what you go through is finding your people. First off, trying to get in, however you can get in. A lot of the times, that's writers' rounds where there's this confluence of people who are trying to all get to the same place, and they end up co-writing and writing maybe a song that gets picked up by a smaller artist or a larger artist, or maybe they get an album cut on something, and then all of a sudden a publishing company comes snooping and goes, "Hey, we see that you're friends with artist X, and it looks like you have 4 or 5 on his record, and he just got a record deal," which immediately means there's going to be income on those songs. So we would like to take a chance on you, and even though you don't have enough money to quit your day job as a
Pizza
delivery guy, we'd like to give you a substantial amount of income.
Substantial.
A minimal source of income in order to make your bills so that you can write full time. And when that happens, they usually end up giving a large portion of their publishing to that in order to get off the ground, which is what happened with both of us, which is kind of the play, right? And so once you get in there and you start writing songs, it's like, man, if I can just keep doing this and get a cut here, a cut there, then make them their money back, then all of a sudden there's longevity in what I'm doing. And over that entire process, it's just been proven. I mean, now look, there are absolutely people who move to town and have a hit within 6 months of being here. But the majority of people that come here learn the craft, get their teeth kicked in, have a bite of success,
stay uncomfortable for a long amount of time.
Yeah, and end up crying in a parking lot in their car when they hear their song on the radio. Is a major
that's a
percentage
10-year
of the
town.
people.
That's
that
the
are.
10-year story.
There's a lot of similarities between book publishing
Oh my God, yeah.
Really?
and writers in New York that we know, and people that have, like, some people, their first book, it's like New York Times bestseller. We have friends that have done that,
Really?
and then friends that have written for 20 years and love it, stay with it, and might find success later on. But it's yeah, I think that's the thing that I love about this podcast that you guys have so lovingly put together, is that I don't know a lot about country music. Like, I'm learning about country music really through this podcast. I'm not super passionate about hunting myself. I'm very happy that our family is involved in it the way that we are. But I feel like I can relate to the episodes that I've been able to listen to because of the personal journeys, because of the stories. Yeah. There's similarities to other, individuals and their own path that I find a lot of resonance in. And, I was listening to one of the early episodes, one of the edits with our oldest, Jimmy, on the way to school. And I think I texted you guys about this. He was like, "This is my favorite MeatEater podcast." I was like, "You better watch out, Jimmy, and better watch who you say
Jimmy.
that to."
You're dang right, Jim.
But I get it. I mean, I love it. And
Wait, I'm curious as to why he said that. Like, and I'm not trying to get
That
you
was
like
funny.
he
do
was
my
just,
bragging. Oh,
yeah. Just like, man, you laugh a lot listening to your podcast.
Oh.
You guys, I think obviously you're brothers.
They won't brag on themselves, but I will brag on them.
Dan will brag on himself every now and then.
no.
But I think something that also makes it really great is these guys lived on a houseboat for 4 years before, these 10 years at the 10-year town. For 4 of those years, they lived on a houseboat together. They caught their dinner off the back deck of the boat. They washed their clothes in the YMCA gym, in the gym locker room.
Facts.
like all of these things. And I think whenever people come, they're human and they're very relatable to a lot of these people that are coming in here to tell their stories. And everybody that sat down on this couch with them, I think connects with them on a human level. And the conversations that have happened thus far have been pretty much everybody that's come in here has told a story that hasn't been told and on any other platform, because they're being interviewed by their buddies who share a very similar experience. They're not being interviewed on the Today Show, if that makes sense. And I think that that's really what has made it such a cool thing and will continue to make it a cool thing, because you guys are just dudes and you're still grinding. I mean, there's still so far to go.
Sure.
And I don't know. I just feel like everyone that's come in here so far, it's been very like human. Even top Hall of Fame songwriters have come in here, and Ben Hayslip talking about owning the hat company and grinding out. I don't know. I just think it's been really cool, and it's going to be cool for fans to see that as well.
I was extremely nervous about knowing too much about the business, you know, to come in and talk about it day in and day out. Like, how boring does that get? You know, but what's been beautiful is what you're saying, is having a platform to where people can just come in and just tell stories, like, because that's essentially all a songwriter is a really great storyteller, you know, like, and finding a way to put that to music.
And every journey to Nashville, moving to town, or you know, the journey from a songwriter's young life to loving country music to getting here to actually doing it is, there are similarities within it, but man, they're so unique. And those stories that come out of that well of stories are some of the best that I think you can hear, because like Dan said, I mean, that's their job. Our job is to tell a story in such a way and to paint it in such a way that you want to listen to it over and over and over and over. And we're getting those from the best of the best, man.
So how deep is the well? I mean,
very deep.
Yeah,
and the
very
reason
deep.
the well is deep is because you go through those times. And people ask me all the time, when did you start writing? And I was like, man, third grade. First, as soon as I could literally write, like I had to, that was my way of expressing myself. And I remember dealing with, like, I mean, I was a big football player, you know, and I remember like I couldn't share with anybody my writing because that was too effeminate for who I was, right? Yeah. I was a football player, I was a deer killer, man. We were catching fish. I couldn't be no poet, you know what I mean?
Wouldn't let no one hunt your place.
Ooh, dang right.
Shots
Didn't have a
fired.
place.
Terrible.
Didn't have a place. Took buddies occasionally. But the whole point being is that, like, I always wrote. I always expressed myself. And until I figured out that if you put those poems to music, you could get chicks.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe I need to learn how to play guitar in order to do that. And then this whole...
What were you were writing poems?
Yeah. Yeah, and just like my mom even talks about, you know, if I liked a girl or something, I would journal like about the thing. Like, it just kind of like...
That's great.
It was embarrassing at the time, though. Now it's something that I'm proud I did. But at the time, it was like, man, I can't let anybody know that I'm 155 pounds. I can't be journaling, dude. I got dudes to knock over in pee-wee football. I mean, I was in fourth grade weighing 155. You know, I couldn't be no little sassy guy, man. I had to go. You know,
We making words rhyme, dude.
yeah, man.
Got time for that?
Yeah, that's weak. But it was always in us, and music was always in Reed, and that's why I didn't have any trouble with going, hey, dude, you got to come check this out, man. It's been in you since birth. You've been singing like a bird since you were 7.
Yeah,
dude.
I didn't write much when I was little, but I sang constantly, dude.
In church.
Everywhere.
Which
in
is
school,
why, which
at church, in the kitchen,
essentially
in the
hasn't
bathtub. Like, don't
changed.
matter.
I mean, you said it earlier. It's like melody is more your thing.
Absolutely.
It's where lyric is more mine. It never really changed. It just kind of matured.
Yeah.
And so his strength is that. I feel like my strength.
I can
is,
write a mean lyric though. Too.
I'm not.
I can write a mean
Dude,
lyric.
we do this all the time. Yeah. Eventually, after 10 years, you
Yeah.
kind of learn
Yeah.
things to take. It's
Sharpen-
like how you like your chili,
sharpen the
man.
knife, man.
You want it spicy. You want it sweet. You
Mhm.
want it mild. I mean, there's, you know, and there's different chilies for different people. And sometimes you want it spicy, which is why you might go with a barn. You know, sometimes you want it smooth, which you might go. Sometimes you just want it
Sweet.
to feel good. So that has a different feel. You know, it's like there's so many different feels.
It's like I'm at a chili bar right now, man.
I'm just saying, different writers are different spices, and they bring different tastes, if you will, to the music. And the business knows that. The business knows, and that's why you have multiple companies pairing different people with different people, because this guy might sound like this and this guy sounds like this, but together they taste this great, and this guy needs that taste.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why you don't have the same song. The same song will be written a lot, but in a lot of different ways. And that's where you get that is just the melting pot of life and lifestyles that you have working in these houses on Music Row every day.
Yeah. So hit me with an episode of God's Country is going to cover what?
It's going to, I mean,
do we have to answer this? I feel like Jordan or Katie should answer this.
Hot topics. Kind of kick it off with hot topics.
Because we just kind of get on there and talk.
Yeah.
I don't really know that there's actually a format.
No, I mean, intro with whatever news, depending on who's sitting in the seat, kind of going into their upbringing, their story to Nashville, I feel like is a pretty common theme.
But performer, art, what do you guys call them?
Artists.
Artists?
Artists.
Yeah. But the writers are artists. So writers and artists.
Songwriters,
Because
yeah.
they're a recording artist.
There you go.
yeah, that's
But
a good
some
term
of
to do
some of the artists are writers too.
Yeah.
Don't put me in the spot, dude.
We get into a lot of backstory and kind of the way the podcast has gone so far is it almost is like the front half of it is kind of letting the artist express himself and how he grew up and where his passions come from, where they spawn from, why he loves fishing, why he loves hunting, and then that move to town is kind of been a common theme but. And that's what I said. Like, there's common similarities with these stories coming out of your journey, but they're also different, And then the back half of that podcast usually is about their time in town and how their 10-year process or their 2-year process or the story about the best story they've got behind their first single, or what it felt like sitting in a parking lot hearing your song on the radio for the first time and crying your eyes out, and then calling everybody in your phone, to congratulate you or whatever, It's really like it's a backdrop and a sliding the curtain open to see behind the doors of what goes on in Nashville on a day-to-day basis.
And usually the trouble we've been having, not trouble, but the thing we've been running into is people get on here and all they want to talk about is hunting. And we have to go, okay, let's move it.
So you moved to town.
And they're like, anyway, about this buck, man, I've been chasing him for 3 years and he's hitting on, which makes it a lot of fun.
My appetite to talk about writing is I'll talk about writing now and then.
Same.
Not excited about that subject.
Nope. Been doing it a minute.
Yeah.
And once you get to that point, and I understand people want to know about it,
Definitely.
But I even feel like we talked about it too long on this podcast already.
The 10-year town. Oh, go
Wait,
ahead.
you guys, you got to talk about the one that got away, that segment.
Yeah, didn't you? Who was?
I
think that was Steve's
idea.
Man, you'll have a good
That's
idea.
that's become a thing.
You'll
fine.
probably explain it too much, but you have a good idea. Every time.
That's become a thing we do at the end of the podcast. We ask 2 questions. We ask the artist or songwriter, whoever we're interviewing, what they think their favorite, and we kind of phrase it differently. I
It's
guess
blending.
from time to time.
It's moving.
What's your
around a little
favorite?
bit.
Sorry, I just burped on microphone. What your favorite country song is, or what you think is the best written country song.
Got it.
And so we've gotten all across we've gotten, and it's not even country songs, is it? Or is it country songs?
We've
So
kept,
far.
so far they've all been country songs.
We do that, and then we do a thing called The One That Got Away, and we tell them it could be a girl, it could be, most of them are married, or a guy, if it's a female that we have on. But most of them are married, so they never touch that subject. But
Yeah, it's
it's usually a
song
deer,
or
a fish, or something like that. And that's a really cool part, because we kind of go into it in an unexpected way where it kind of catches them off guard, and they all tell an interesting
And
story.
sometimes it catches them off guard because we don't tell them we're going to do it. We're like, oh, by the way.
You guys talked about the 10-year town. Where are you at on the 10-year cycle, and what happens when 10 years is up? Everything you leave and it's all done.
You just buy ground and don't let anybody hunt it.
Oh, so that's the end. That's how the 10 years ends.
I mean, for some of us,
where are you at on the 10-year cycle? You got to be through, but
11.
I'm
you're
still
11 years into your 10-year cycle.
I'm still on the bottom side of 10. It was. I moved to town.
You're sneaking up on me. Though.
Yeah, I'm getting there because I moved to
You're
town.
only a couple years behind me.
Yeah, I actually think I'm at 9 because I moved to town 2000. Like, got to town trying to, I was moving furniture in the day and then writing songs at night, trying to grind, and and I guess that was 2015. And then I got my first publishing deal in 2016.
But I'm gonna tell you something. That early season grind is what deepens that well you're talking about. I mean, not to talk about how hard we had it or how bad we had it, because we found a way to make it work. A diet of deer meat and crappie ain't too bad, honestly. I mean, it is when you're eating it with Del Monte corn 6 nights a week. But
yeah, tidbit. You can also get 12 rolls at Cracker Barrel for
I don't
about
know if you can
$4.
anymore,
Oh,
biscuits. We used to just
ate a lot of biscuits.
we
Cracker
would
Barrel
just
biscuits.
take $4, go to the Cracker Barrel.
We live an
get
eighth of a mile from one.
14 biscuits, bring them back, jelly them jokers, and eat it. We'd eat deer meat and biscuit like every morning until we got so sick of those things, man. And but I mean, you have to have the hustle too. Like, it's not just moving here and waiting 10 years and then all of a sudden you can have a little bit of success. That you got to be applying major hustle to this thing.
Yeah.
My hustle was I worked at a moving company, and then I did that for a long time. I had a meeting with a guy up here who was in the publishing business. I saw softball bats leaning in the corner of his office. So on my way out of that office, I said, "Hey man, where does he play softball at?" The lady at the front told me. I looked into that place. I got a job umpiring at those softball fields. So I would work in the box truck during the day. I would go in the back of the box truck, change into my umpiring outfit, go work an umpire gig until about 11. And one night I had worked there and I ran into him. He was like, "What are you doing out here?" I was like, "What are you talking about, man? I'm hustling, dude. I'm trying to pay my bills." And he was like, "But don't you work? You told me you worked on a box truck." I was like, "Yeah, I work on a box truck and I umpire." He was like, "Man, if somebody's hustling that hard, I got time for him. Come see me." Went saw him.
Really?
Went and saw him. He said, "I need 5 demos of these songs." I borrowed $500 from my sister and $750 from my granddad. R.I.P. Days Bud. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, he's listening.
Appreciate you. And I went and cut demos with my band. I took them to him. He held them 9 months. And in those 9 months, I had my phone on a charger every single day. I would look. I was constantly, the anxiety that was living in my gut knowing he had those 5 songs and we're about to make a decision on them was like having coals. I mean, I was just, my stomach, I was in knots. For 9 months, he finally calls back and is like, "Hey man, we're ready to talk to you about a deal." After 9 months. And that is how every day that happens, that well is just going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And now when somebody comes to town and they go, "Hey man, I'm just in a rough spot, man. Like, I want this music stuff to work, but I got stuff I want to do at home, and I'm missing deer season because I'm out here grinding, playing to 30 people that don't care about my music." I can go, "I know exactly what you're talking about. How about this idea? Does this hit you?" "Absolutely. Tell me some stuff about what you're doing." And then we find a way to construct something marketable out of
Slash
their
personal.
experiences.
Yeah.
Slash personal.
Yeah.
And that's what I think people get the misconception about us as commercial writers. They think we're just up here faking everything. It's not that. It's finding a way to make your story relatable to a common listener as well as making it rhyme.
But you're selling your struggles to other people, man, which has got to hurt now and then.
At the beginning. Once that
There's
check
like a little
comes
bit
in,
of pride.
once the check comes in, it doesn't hurt that bad.
There's a little bit of pride. When just a final thought, when you're talking about going to the Cracker Barrel to get the biscuits, when I enrolled at Lake Superior State University, in your little enrollment packet was this 50% off at Taco Bell.
Oh, baby.
So we called, I was with my brother Danny, and we called over there, and we're like, "Hey, is there a limit?" They don't know. And I said, "Can you?" And so we ordered 50 soft tacos and 50 bean burritos. We said, "Just don't put any lettuce in there." And I said, "You can come by and pick them up tomorrow." So we went down there,
Put them in the freezer?
100 of them.
all, dude. We would be going hunting in the morning or whatever, and we'd always take those out of the freezer and set them up turn the heater on
Oh, yeah, man.
on the windshield and lay them in that little crack to bring them back to
Not
life.
too bad, honestly.
It's a mean deer stand.
As long as
snack
they're in
right
the
there.
aluminum, yeah, it's
No
not
doubt.
really too bad. Nice.
No doubt.
Yeah, I'm so far from that now, but you're right. Stuff matters, man.
Yeah, I think it's endless. I don't think it'll ever run dry just based upon
Yeah, man.
the work we put in to get to this place, you know.
Yeah, and not saying that we live, but the life we live, man. You know, I think that well continues to grow deeper because we're having kids and we're teaching our kids how to hunt and thinking about the days and of getting to bring them on our land that we don't take anybody on, and letting them shoot deer and
Like they'll maybe get a lease or something.
Hey,
If a big buck is on camera and Boone's old enough to hunt,
Dude, of course. Yes, we've already touched this. Yeah, we've already touched on
Absolutely, he's gonna. I mean, and that's part of the reason I locked it up was for my kids to be able to do that.
for sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm really not a bad guy. I'm not a bad guy. Dude.
Great guys. Great guys, for real. Great guys. Dan and Rita Isbell, join them and continue the exploration of country music and the outdoors and songwriting and performing at God's Country Podcast. Available now. And you guys know that this year we're only using for our outro. We used to license outro music.
Oh, did you?
But we don't anymore. We quit.
Huh? It seems like.
Oh, it's interesting you say
Interesting
that.
you
'cause
say that. It's almost like.
somebody put a
So
song
you
title in
gotta
an
you
email.
gotta outro
It's
us.
almost like somebody might have planned for this.
You gotta
Found a
outro
pic.
since we
Can you
can't.
give me a
We're not
picture?
licensing any music anymore.
Where'd that go? Oh, nice. Yeah, it's almost like, what did you write? What did you say in the email that the song should
We
be
need a
called?
song called. You said
Big, huge, giant bucks.
Hang on, we do that. I took it as like a. Is that right? I took it as a challenge, actually, when you wrote it, because I feel like that was a bit sarcastic.
What was?
Big, huge, giant bucks.
No.
I like the way that feels. This is for you, Steve.
You gonna do it?
We get up in the morning at the crack of dawn, grab our gun, put our first slide on, stumble to the stand waiting in the cold, watching that sun rise like gold. Ain't no way we can love it anymore. We do it 'cause we gotta, and we do it all for them big, huge, giant bucks. Tailgates down on the back of the trucks, riding through town like we don't give a what with a big, huge, giant buck. Well, them folks out west love to chase big elk, hitting them mountains and giving them hell. But what does it for us ain't antelope. Is it bighorn sheep or moose? Hell no. It's big, huge, giant bucks. Tailgate down on the back of our trucks, riding through town like we don't give a what with a big, huge, giant buck. I said it's big, huge, giant bucks. Tailgates down on the back of our truck, riding through town like we don't give a what. Improvise.
Sorry.
With our big, huge, giant buck.
Oh my God.
On the way in. Wrote that on the way in. No big deal. Wrote that on the way in.
I knew it had to have. It needed a song. I've been saying it for so long.
There it is, bro.
Big, huge, giant bucks.
There you go, man. Take it. Learn it. Sure.
BH.
Not just
HGB.
big, not just huge.
Giant buck.
Big, huge, giant bucks. All right, everybody. God's Country Podcast. Thanks for listening.
Appreciate y'all.
See you.
appreciate it.